Commander Heijin Park stood tall in his dark blue United Earth Defense Force uniform. The bright lights of the Galactic Council chamber shone down on him. Around him, representatives from 20 different alien species sat in rising circular tiers, like a giant bowl with Heijin at the bottom. Some looked like humans, others were very different. A few even floated in special containers filled with their home planet's air. Heijin kept his face calm, even though many alien eyes were watching him. The Council had called this meeting to discuss Earth's recent actions, or as they saw it, Earth's lack of action. Commander Park, said First Speaker Doram, the elderly Council leader. His gray skin wrinkled as he spoke. Earth has refused to join 3 separate military campaigns in the past year. Some Council members are concerned. From the upper seats, a large figure stood up. It was War Chief Gax of the Krex Empire. The Krex were tall, muscular aliens with red-tinted skin and bony ridges on their faces. They were famous for their military might. Humans are weak. Gax's voice boomed through the chamber. They hide behind their shields and walls. When the pirate clans attacked the Bellerin colonies, Earth sent medical ships and defensive units. No attack fleets. No glory in battle. Heijin waited for the war chief to finish. He had expected this. The Krex never understood Earth's way of doing things. "Thank you, War Chief Gax," Heijin said in a clear, steady voice. "Earth's policy is clear. We help our allies. We defend those who need protection. But we do not seek war." A small bird-like alien named Trill clicked her beak. "But why, Commander? Your ships are strong. Your soldiers are well-trained. You could conquer many systems if you wanted to." Heijin looked around the chamber. Most aliens were nodding at Trill's words. They didn't understand. How could they? Their species had different histories. "Let me tell you about Earth's last major war," Heijin said. He pressed a button on his wrist computer. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed Earth, but not the beautiful blue planet they knew today. This Earth was covered in dark clouds. Parts of it glowed with an unhealthy light. This was Earth in 2089, during what we call World War III. Heijin explained. 3 billion people died. Not just soldiers. Children. Families. Whole cities disappeared in fire. The chamber grew quiet. Even War Chief Gax stopped making angry noises. "We learned something from that war," Heijin continued. "Something that makes humans different from many species here. We learned that the true cost of war isn't counted in territory gained or resources captured. It's counted in empty chairs at family tables, in children who never grew up, in nightmares that last for generations." Ambassador Yun-Hee Cho, Earth's diplomatic representative, stood up from her seat. She was a small woman, but her voice was strong. "Earth maintains the galaxy's largest defensive fleet. Our shield technology is the best in known space. We have more medical ships than any 3 systems combined. This is not weakness. This is wisdom." Heijin nodded at her words. "The Krex Empire fights because they love glory. The Meridian Cluster fights for resources. The Vex Coalition fights for territory. But humans fight only when we must. Only to defend. Only to protect." He touched his wrist computer again. The hologram changed to show Earth's defensive fleet. Thousands of ships in perfect formation. Advanced shield generators protecting whole solar systems. Hospital ships bigger than some space stations. "We remember our wars," Heijin said softly. "Every single one. We remember the cost. That is why Earth will help defend the Bellerin colonies. We will send medical aid. We will share our shield technology. But we will not join your war fleets. We will not help you conquer." War Chief Gax stood again. His red face was darker than before. "Pretty words, human. But words don't win battles. Words don't protect planets." Heijin smiled slightly. "No, War Chief. Words alone don't protect planets. Actions do. That's why Earth has already sent 12 defensive shield generators to the Bellerin colonies. They were installed last week while everyone was arguing about attack plans. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. The Krex war chief's mouth opened and closed without sound. Even first speaker Doram looked impressed. "This meeting is about why humans avoid war," Hejin said, looking at each council member in turn. "The answer is simple. We avoid war because we're better at peace. Our shields stop attacks. Our medical ships save lives. Our diplomats solve problems before they become wars." He straightened his uniform and continued, "Earth doesn't avoid war because we're weak. We avoid it because we're strong enough to find better solutions." Ambassador Yunhee stood again. "The Council called this meeting because they think Earth isn't doing enough. I suggest they look closer. Earth's defensive technology protects 47 systems. Our medical ships serve anyone who calls for help. Our diplomatic corps has prevented 12 wars in the past year alone." The chamber was quiet now. Hejin could see many council members thinking hard about these words. Even some of the Krex representatives looked thoughtful. First speaker Doram raised his hand for attention. "Commander Park, Ambassador Cho, your words are interesting, but some will need more convincing. The Krex Empire especially seems concerned about Earth's methods." Hejin nodded. He had expected this too. "Then perhaps a demonstration is in order. Earth is willing to show exactly why we focus on defense rather than attack. War Chief Gax, would your empire be interested in seeing our capabilities firsthand?" The war chief's eyes narrowed. "What kind of demonstration?" "A simple one," Hejin replied. "Your best ships against Earth's defensive systems. No weapons fired, just a simulation. Then everyone can see why we choose our path." The chamber buzzed with excited whispers. The Krex were famous for their military power. Earth was known for avoiding fights. This would be interesting. War Chief Gax smiled, showing sharp teeth. "We accept, human. 1 week from today. We will show everyone why the old ways of war are still best." Hejin bowed slightly. 1 week then. Earth will be ready." He caught Ambassador Yunhee's eye and saw her small smile. Everything was going according to plan. The first speaker called the meeting to a close. As alien representatives filed out of the chamber, Hejin stayed behind with Yunhee. "They still don't understand," Yunhee said quietly. "No," Hejin agreed, "but they will. Sometimes the best way to prevent a war is to show why starting one would be a very bad idea." They walked out of the chamber together, leaving the hologram of Earth's defensive fleet still floating in the air. In 1 week, the galaxy would learn why humans worked so hard to avoid war, and why that made them the most formidable species of all. After the council meeting, Commander Hejin Park walked through the quiet halls of Earth's embassy on the Galactic Council station. His footsteps echoed against the polished floor as he made his way to the Historical Archives section. He needed to talk to someone who understood Earth's past better than anyone else. The archive doors slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the walls were lined with data crystals that held thousands of years of human history. In the center of the room, an old man sat at a circular desk, studying holographic images of ancient battlefields. "Historian Kita," Hejin called out softly. "I need your help." Kita Lee looked up from his work. His white hair seemed to glow in the blue light from the holograms. Though he was over 90 years old, his eyes were sharp and clear. "Ah, Commander Park, I watched your council meeting. The Krex are eager to learn about our defenses, aren't they?" Hejin sat down across from Kita. "They think they'll prove that their way of war is better than our way of peace. I need to show them why they're wrong." Kita nodded and pressed some buttons on his desk. The holograms changed, showing Earth as it was during World War III. The images were hard to look at, but both men forced themselves to watch. "Tell me what you see, Commander," Kita said quietly. Hejin studied the images. "I see destruction. Cities turned to ash. Oceans poisoned by weapons. skies filled with dark clouds that blocked the sun. Yes, Kita agreed. But look closer. What do you see in the details? The holograms zoomed in. Now they showed people. A small girl holding a burned doll. An old woman trying to grow food in contaminated soil. A young man carrying his injured brother through ruined streets. I see why we changed. Jin said softly. Why we had to change. Keita stood up and walked to one of the data crystal walls. He pulled out a crystal that glowed with a deep red light. This crystal holds the personal stories of war survivors, not the generals or politicians, just ordinary people who lived through humanity's darkest times. He inserted the crystal into his desk. New holograms appeared, showing faces of people from long ago. Their voices filled the room. My daughter asked me why the sky was always dark. I didn't know how to tell her it might never be bright again. We fought over clean water. Friends became enemies. Neighbors wouldn't help neighbors. The war didn't just destroy buildings. It destroyed who we were. I was a soldier. They said we were fighting for glory. For power. But there's no glory in watching children die of hunger. There's no power in destroying your own world. Jin listened to the voices, letting their words sink in. This was the wisdom that had changed humanity. This was what the Kreks and others needed to understand. Kita switched off the holograms. The Kreks think war brings glory. Many species do. But humans learned something different. We learned that true strength isn't about how well you can fight. It's about how well you can prevent fighting in the first place. The demonstration is in 6 days, Jin said. I'll show them our defensive systems. But you worry it won't be enough. Kita finished. You worry they won't understand. Yes. Keita smiled gently. Then show them this too. He pulled another crystal from the wall. This one glowing white. This contains records of what Earth achieved after we turned away from war. The medical breakthroughs. The shield technology. The space exploration. Show them that peace made us stronger, not weaker. New holograms appeared. They showed Earth's first shield dome being activated, protecting an entire city. They showed hospital ships bringing medicine to worlds that had never seen doctors before. They showed Earth's defensive fleet growing, not to attack, but to protect. The Kreks respect strength, Kita said. So show them our kind of strength. Show them that Earth's defenses aren't just about stopping attacks. They're about protecting life. All life. Jin stood up, feeling more confident. Thank you, historian. I think I know what to do now. As he turned to leave, Kita called out, Commander, remember something else. The Kreks and others, they're where we were a long time ago. They still believe war brings glory because they haven't paid the full price yet. Our job isn't to judge them. It's to help them learn what we learned, hopefully without paying the same terrible cost. Jin nodded. That's why we remember. That's why we keep these records, so others don't have to learn the hard way. Exactly, Kita said. He looked at the data crystals on the walls. Every story here, every record of pain and loss and destruction. They're not just history. They're warnings. They're lessons. They're the reason Earth now stands for peace. Back in the hallway, Jin's wrist computer beeped. It was a message from Ambassador Yunni. The Kreks fleet is gathering early. They're bringing more ships than we expected. Jin smiled slightly. The Kreks thought they were preparing for a show of force. They didn't realize they were about to receive the most important lesson in their species' history. He looked back at the archive room, where Kita had returned to his studies. The old historian was right. Earth's strength wasn't in its weapons or its ability to fight. Earth's strength was in its memory, its wisdom, and its determination to find a better way. In 6 days, the Kreks would learn why humans avoided war. They would learn that Earth's defenses weren't signs of weakness, but proof of advancement. They would learn that sometimes the strongest warriors are the ones who choose not to fight. Hejin walked toward the embassy's command center, already planning how to use Kita's historical records in the demonstration. The Kreks wanted to see Earth's defensive capabilities. He would show them that, but he would show them much more. He would show them why peace was the ultimate victory. The next morning, Commander Hejin Park stood at the observation deck of Earth's embassy, watching Kreks warships arrive through the station's massive windows. Each ship was painted dark red with black markings, and their shapes reminded Hejin of ancient Earth predators. Ambassador Yunhee Cho joined him at the window. "They've brought 50 ships now," she said. "That's more than twice what they originally planned." Hejin nodded calmly. "They want to make sure everyone sees their power." "Have you contacted Earth Command?" "Yes, they understand the situation." Yunhee handed him a datapad. "Our defensive units are ready. Lieutenant Jiho is preparing the demonstration systems now." Before Hejin could respond, the station's communication system activated. War Chief Gax's voice boomed through the speakers. "Attention, Earth representatives. The Kreks Empire demands an immediate meeting." Hejin and Yunhee exchanged looks. This was unexpected. They made their way to the station's main meeting room, where War Chief Gax waited with 10 other Kreks officers. Their red skin seemed darker than usual, a sign of agitation in their species. "Commander Park," Gax said, showing his sharp teeth, "we have decided that a simple demonstration is not enough. The Kreks Empire challenges Earth to a proper combat trial." The room grew very quiet. Combat trials were an old Kreks tradition. They were used to settle disputes between species, and the losers usually became part of the Kreks Empire. "That was not our agreement," Yunhee said firmly. "The Council approved a demonstration, not a combat trial." Gax turned his large head toward her. "Are humans afraid? Do you fear real combat?" "No," Hejin said calmly. "We just don't see the point in risking lives unnecessarily. The demonstration will show you everything you need to know about Earth's capabilities." "Cowards," one of the Kreks officers shouted. "You hide behind shields and words." Hejin remained calm, remembering Kita's lessons about history. The Kreks were acting just like humans had centuries ago, before the Great Wars taught them better ways. "War Chief Gax," Hejin said, "you believe that combat proves strength. Earth believes that avoiding unnecessary combat proves wisdom. But if you insist on a challenge," he paused, looking at Yunhee, who nodded slightly, "we will accept with conditions." The Kreks officers muttered among themselves. Gax leaned forward. "What conditions?" "First, this will not be a combat trial for territory or dominance. It will be a test of systems only, your best attack methods against our best defensive methods." "That is not a proper combat trial," Gax protested. "Second," Hejin continued as if Gax hadn't spoken, "no lives will be risked. We will use unmanned ships and automated systems. You want to fight without warriors." Another Kreks officer laughed. "This is not war." "Exactly," Yunhee said. "That's the point we're trying to make. War is not the answer we seek." Hejin stepped forward, looking directly at Gax. "You brought 50 warships to intimidate us. But ask yourself this: why aren't we afraid? What do we know that you don't?" The question seemed to catch Gax off guard. The war chief's expression changed slightly, showing uncertainty for the first time. "Here is our challenge to you," Hejin said. "Bring your 100 best ships, not just 50. Use your strongest weapons. Try your most advanced attack strategies. If you can break through Earth's defensive systems, we will admit that your way has merit." "And if we cannot?" Gax asked. "Then you must spend 1 month studying Earth's history, learning why we chose this path, understanding what made us turn away from war." The Kreks officers talked among themselves again. Hejin could see they were confused. This was not how challenges usually worked in their culture. "You are strange, humans," Gax said finally. "You turn a combat challenge into a lesson. You face our warships with empty ships and shields." "Not empty," He-Jin corrected. Unmanned. There's a difference. Earth's technology doesn't need warriors to die to prove its worth. Yun-Hee stepped forward. War Chief, you came here thinking Earth was weak because we avoid war. Let us show you why the strongest warriors are sometimes the ones who choose not to fight. Gax stood silent for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. We accept your terms, but we will bring 200 ships, not 100. Bring your whole fleet if you wish. He-Jin said. The result will be the same. After the Kreks left, Yun-Hee turned to He-Jin. 200 ships. That's most of their active fleet. They're taking this very seriously. Good, He-Jin said. The more seriously they take it, the more they'll learn from it. He touched his wrist computer, sending a message to Lieutenant Jo. Tell Command to activate the Aegis Protocol. The Kreks want to see our real defensive capabilities. Let's show them why Earth hasn't lost a defensive battle in 200 years. As they walked back to the observation deck, they could see more Kreks ships arriving. Their dark shapes filled the space around the station, like storm clouds gathering before rain. They still think this is about proving their strength, Yun-Hee said quietly. Yes, He-Jin agreed. But soon they'll understand. Sometimes the greatest strength is knowing when not to use it. Back in his office, He-Jin looked at the historical records Kita had given him. Soon, the Kreks would learn what humans had learned long ago. War wasn't about glory or power. It was about loss and pain and destruction. And Earth had found a better way. He watched the Kreks ships through his window and felt no fear. In 2 days, they would learn why humans avoided war. They would learn that Earth's peace wasn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of advancement beyond the need for violence. The real question was, would they be wise enough to understand the lesson? The day of the demonstration arrived. The neutral space station's main control room was filled with representatives from 30 different species. They all came to watch the Kreks fleet test Earth's defenses. Lieutenant Ji-Ho Kim stood at the main control panel, his fingers moving quickly over the displays. He had spent 2 days preparing Earth's automated defense systems. Around him, large screens showed the space outside, where 200 Kreks warships waited in attack formation. Commander He-Jin Park and Ambassador Yun-Hee Cho stood nearby, watching the final preparations. War Chief Gax and his officers stood on the other side of the room, their red skin dark with anticipation. All systems are ready, Commander, Ji-Ho reported. The defensive zone is set. He-Jin nodded and stepped forward to address the crowd. Today's demonstration will show why Earth focuses on defense rather than attack. The Kreks fleet will attempt to break through our shield system and reach the target station. He pointed to a small station floating in space. They may use any weapons or tactics they wish. War Chief Gax stepped forward. And what will Earth use to defend? I see no ships. Watch, He-Jin said simply. Ji-Ho pressed a button on his control panel. In space, the empty area around the target station began to shimmer. Small satellites appeared, each no bigger than a cargo pod. There were 50 of them, arranged in a sphere around the target. These are our shield net satellites, Ji-Ho explained. Each one creates part of an energy shield. Together, they form an unbreakable defense zone. Some of the alien representatives laughed. The satellites looked too small to stop the massive Kreks fleet. Begin when ready, War Chief. He-Jin said calmly. Gax gave the order. The Kreks fleet moved forward, their weapons charging. The first wave of ships fired energy beams at the shield net. The beams hit the shimming barrier and disappeared. Impossible, a Kreks officer shouted. Those were full power shots. Ji-Ho touched his controls again. A holographic display appeared, showing how the shield net worked. The shields don't just block attacks, he explained. They absorb the energy and use it to become stronger. The Kreks fleet tried again, this time with missile weapons. The missiles exploded against the shield barrier, but did no damage. Instead, the shimmering field grew brighter. Second-level defense activating, Jaiho announced. Small drones launched from the satellites. They moved incredibly fast, intercepting Krek's weapons before they could reach the shield. Some drones created small, targeted shield bubbles around specific threats. Others used precise energy pulses to disable incoming missiles. These drones use artificial intelligence based on centuries of human military experience, He Jin explained. They learn and adapt to any attack pattern. War Chief Gax growled in frustration. All ships, full attack. Use every weapon. The space around the target station lit up with weapons fire. The Krek's fleet unleashed everything they had. Energy beams, missiles, plasma torpedoes, and even their newest quantum disruptors all hit the shield net at once. The room grew quiet as everyone watched. The shield barrier flickered with each hit but never broke. The defensive drones moved like a perfectly coordinated dance, stopping threats before they could build up enough power to damage the shield. Impossible, Gax whispered. 200 ships. Our best weapons. Now, He Jin said, let us show you what Earth's defensive technology can really do. Jaiho entered a new command. The shield net satellites began to pulse with bright light. The energy they had absorbed from the Krek's attacks was changing, transforming. The shields aren't just for defense, Jaiho explained. They can protect in other ways too. The absorbed energy shot out from the satellites in waves of soft, golden light. When the waves reached the Krek's ships, they didn't cause damage. Instead, they created small shield bubbles around each ship, protecting them. What is this? Gax demanded. We're sharing our shield technology with your fleet, Yun-He explained. Now your ships are protected too. This is how Earth fights, by making everyone safer. The alien representatives murmured in amazement. The Krek's officers stared at their displays, seeing how their ships were now protected by Earth's defensive technology. Your weapons couldn't break our shields, He Jin said, but our shields can protect your ships. This is why Earth focuses on defense. We don't want to destroy. We want to preserve. Jaiho brought up more displays, showing how the shield technology worked. These systems can protect entire planets, he explained. They can stop natural disasters, deflect asteroids, and prevent the kind of weapons that once devastated Earth. War Chief Gax stepped closer to the displays, studying them carefully. All this power, and you use it only to defend. Power isn't just about destruction, He Jin said. True power is about protection, about making life better, not worse. The demonstration continued for another hour. Jaiho showed more of Earth's defensive capabilities. The drones could create emergency life support fields around damaged ships. The shields could open safe corridors for medical ships to reach those in need. Every system was designed to save lives, not take them. Finally, War Chief Gax raised his hand. Enough. We have seen enough. He turned to face He Jin. You have won your challenge, Commander. The Krek's Empire acknowledges Earth's wisdom. No one won or lost today, War Chief, He Jin replied. This wasn't about winning. It was about understanding. As the alien representatives began to leave, discussing what they had seen, Yun-He approached Gax. Will you honor the terms of the challenge? Will you study Earth's history? The war chief looked at the screens showing Earth's defensive systems, then at his protected fleet. Yes, he said quietly. The Krek's Empire will learn. Perhaps there is more to strength than we understood. Later in Earth's embassy, He Jin, Yun-He, and Jaiho watched the Krek's fleet prepare to leave. Each ship still glowed softly with the protection of Earth's shield technology. They expected us to fight, Jaiho said. Instead, we protected them. That's what Earth does now, He Jin replied. We remember our past, so we choose a better future. Today, the Kreks began to understand why. The first step had been taken. The Kreks, and through them the rest of the galaxy, had seen why humans avoided war. Not because they couldn't fight, but because they had found a better way to use their strength. It was a lesson learned from Earth's darkest times, turned into hope for a brighter future. 1 month after the demonstration, Commander Heijin Park sat in his office at Earth's embassy, reading reports about changes in the galaxy. The Krex Empire had kept their promise to study Earth's history. What they learned was changing them in unexpected ways. Ambassador Yun He-cho entered his office, carrying a data pad with new information. "The Krex have made an announcement," she said. "They're converting 20 of their warships into medical vessels." Heijin looked up from his reports. "Medical vessels? The Krex?" "Yes." War Chief Gax says they were inspired by Earth's hospital ships. Yun-He sat down and showed him the datapad. "They're also requesting more information about our shield technology. Not for war. They want to protect farming colonies from solar storms." Before they could discuss this further, the office door opened again. Kita Lee, the historian, walked in slowly, supported by his walking stick. Despite his age, his eyes were bright with excitement. "You need to see this," Kita said. He placed a data crystal on Heijin's desk. "The Krex sent us their own historical records. All of them. Even the secret ones." Heijin activated the crystal. Holograms filled the room, showing the history of the Krex Empire. Their wars, their victories, their losses. Everything was there. "They want us to understand them," Kita explained, "just as they're trying to understand us." A message appeared on Heijin's computer screen. War Chief Gax was requesting a meeting. Not a formal one in the council chambers, but a private conversation in Earth's embassy. When Gax arrived, he looked different. His red skin was lighter, calmer. He carried no weapons, which was unusual for a Krex warrior. With him was a young Krex female who carried data pads and recording devices. "Commander Park," Gax said, "this is Tyra. She is our first." He paused, searching for the right word. "Historian. Like your Kita." Tyra stepped forward. "I have been studying Earth's records," she said. "The way you remember your past, it is different from how we remember ours. We only recorded victories. You record everything, even the painful parts, especially the painful parts." They sat together in Heijin's office. The young Krex historian spread out her data pads, showing what she had learned. "Our empire celebrated war," Tyra explained. "We thought it made us strong. But your records showed us something we never considered. The true cost of conflict. The pain that lives on after the fighting stops." Gax nodded slowly. "One record affected me deeply," he said. "A human child's diary from your Third World War. She wrote about wanting to see stars, but the sky was always dark with weapon smoke. It made me think of my own children." Kita smiled gently. "That's why we keep these records, not to make others feel guilt, but to help them understand." "We understand now," Gax said. His voice was softer than they had ever heard it. "The Krex Empire has always measured strength by how well we could fight. But Earth," he looked at each human in turn, "Earth measures strength by how well you can prevent fighting." Yun-He leaned forward. "And what do you think of this different kind of strength?" "It is harder," Gax admitted. "Much harder than simply winning battles. To have the power to destroy, but to choose not to use it. This requires more strength than we knew existed." Tyra touched one of her data pads. "We found something interesting in our own history. Long ago, before we became warriors, the Krex were healers. We used our knowledge of biology to cure diseases, not to make weapons. Somewhere, we forgot this. But you can remember it again," Kita said, "just as humans remembered their better nature after the Great Wars." Heijin watched as Tyra showed them the changes already happening in the Krex Empire. Warships being converted to research vessels, military training centers becoming scientific academies, warriors learning to be protectors instead of conquerors. "There is resistance," Gax said honestly. "Many Krex think we are becoming weak, but we are showing them the records you shared. We are helping them understand what true strength means." "Change takes time," Yun-He said. Earth didn't transform overnight either. As they talked, news came in from across the galaxy. Other species had watched the demonstration, had seen how Earth's defensive technology had protected even their potential enemies. Many were requesting to learn more about Earth's way of doing things. The Meridian Cluster wants to know if we will share our shield technology, Yunhee reported, reading from her datapad. The Vex Coalition is asking about our medical ships. Even the pirate clans are requesting talks. And what will Earth do? Gax asked. Hejin smiled. We will share what we know. We will help protect those who need protection. We will teach those who want to learn. This is the way Earth has chosen. Tyra looked up from her studies. In our old histories, we called Earth weak because you avoided war. Now we understand. You had simply grown beyond it. Like a child grows beyond fighting into wisdom. As the day ended, they stood together at the embassy's observation window. Outside, ships from many species flew past. Some were former enemies, now protected by Earth's shield technology. Others were old friends, learning new ways to help their people. One question remains, Commander, Gax said. What happens when we meet new species who only understand the way of war, as we once did? We show them what you saw. Hejin replied. Our strength, our technology, our history. We give them a chance to learn what humanity learned, that the greatest victory is not winning a war, but preventing one. The war chief nodded slowly. The Krex Empire will help teach this lesson. We understand it now from both sides. We knew the way of war. Now we are learning the way of peace. Perhaps this makes us good teachers for others. As Gax and Tyra left to return to their ships, Kita turned to Hejin and Yunhee. This is how change happens, the old historian said. Not through force, but through understanding. Not through conquest, but through sharing wisdom. Hejin looked at the stars beyond the window. Somewhere out there, new species were emerging, facing the same choices humanity had faced. Would they choose the path of war, or would they learn from Earth's example? We remember our wars, he said quietly, so others don't have to fight them. We keep our painful history alive so that others can learn from it. This is how humans fight now, not with weapons, but with wisdom. The galaxy was changing, one species at a time. And Earth, once thought weak for avoiding war, was leading the way to a different kind of strength. This was humanity's greatest victory, not conquering the galaxy, but helping it grow beyond the need for conquest.